Tonight, politicians past and present gather to highlight Saskatchewan's industries on a global scale. Also, it's Maternal Mental Health Week, and we learn more about a new perinatal wellness center opening this summer in Regina. Plus, Manitoba's Court of Appeal has dismissed Peter Nygaard's extradition appeal.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, May 6th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Political leaders past and present were in Regina today, speaking at a conference highlighting Saskatchewan industries for a global audience. Premier Scott Moe gave the keynote address and was joined on stage by a former Prime Minister. Adam Hunter has the story.
Premier Scott Moe addressed the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce's second annual Food, Fuel and Fertilizer Global Summit. Moe and the Chamber shared a similar message, Saskatchewan's potential to grow its economy through international exports.
We have what the world needs right now, food, fuel and fertilizer, and I think Saskatchewan's got a leading role to play in terms of global food and energy security. So that's what we're talking about today.
Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper was part of a panel with Moe and Minister of Trade and Export Jeremy Harrison. Harper told the crowd that Saskatchewan's standing out internationally with the products it offers, specifically with other countries and regions involved in conflicts. Harper says the current federal government is not capitalizing on the opportunity.
Fantastic that we have a provincial government here that does see it that way and is increasingly able to distinguish itself as different in these markets. So look, to say once again, congratulations, but I think you're only scratching the surface of the opportunity that really exists for this province and ultimately down the road for this country.
Harper was also the subject of an opposition question in the Assembly. In 2019, the province entered into a contract with Harper's consulting firm. The opposition says taxpayers have paid the firm $840,000 over the last 5 years.
When we FOI'd the contract with Harper & Associates, Mr. Speaker, can you guess what happened? It came back redacted. Almost every detail withheld for the actual description of work that the taxpayers of Saskatchewan are paying Harper & Associates to do.
The Minister of Trade and Export, Jeremy Harrison, did not directly answer Young's question as to why the contract information was redacted. He does say that the government directly engages foreign countries and companies to help expand exports and grow the provincial economy. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
The Prince Albert Grand Council is taking the next step to examine self-policing. Last week, the council that represents 12 First Nations in northern Saskatchewan received $1.2 million from the provincial and federal governments. They'll use that money to conduct community safety needs analysis by engaging community members across the region. A vice chief with the Grand Council says the benefits of self-policing are simple.
When we have our own people working in the communities that have that connection to our community and have that understanding about the culture and where we come from and the unique challenges that we have in our communities.
In 2022, the Prince Albert Grand Council and the federal and provincial governments announced the creation of the PAGC Public Safety Implementation Team. That team has been looking at implementing an effective and culturally appropriate police service ever since. One of the last department stores in Regina will soon be closing its doors for good. Hudson's Bay has confirmed it will not renew the lease for its store in Regina. The store was closed temporarily on April 10th after someone deliberately lit a clothing rack on fire. The Bay has served as a cornerstone of the Cornwall Centre for decades.
I've gotten a lot of good stuff there over the years. Yeah.
Are you going to miss anything in particular you're going to miss from the Bay?
Quality merchandise.
It's sad, but, you know, it's going to be, more room for people to put office space, I guess.
Something from the downtown that they need and to draw people. But if we lose it, then you lose people and where do we go? What do we do? Does it force you to go online once again?
While the Bay was back open today, Hudson's Bay has confirmed the current lease expires in April of 2025. According to a statement, the fire did not factor into their decision not to renew the lease. The company says its Saskatoon location will continue to operate. It appears WestJet will avoid a potential strike that would have upended the airline schedule. The airline company says it has reached a tentative deal with the union representing mechanics late last night. The deal will now go to members of the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association for ratification vote. Terms of the deal aren't yet public. The union represents about 670 maintenance engineers and other skilled workers. It says wages and layoff protection were among the top issues in negotiations. WestJet had issued a lockout notice on Saturday in response to a strike vote. Families and small businesses are increasingly turning to crowdfunding as they struggle to recover from the damage brought on by floods, wildfires, and storms. Experts say that highlights how governments and insurance coverage is not always enough. Ben Shingler reports.
In last summer's wildfires near Halifax, some families lost nearly everything.
It was very difficult to go back, to dig through the rubble.
Steps to nowhere.
For Maureen McGee, this is all that was left. Now the house is almost rebuilt with the help of insurance, but the family turned to the crowdfunding site GoFundMe to cover unexpected costs.
Things as simple as gas and takeout food and going to get some clothing.
Over the past 5 years, it's been around a 34% year-over-year average increase in these kind of campaigns.
New data from GoFundMe says these campaigns raised more than $24 million since 2019, a drop in the bucket compared to the fuller cost of these disasters. $14 billion alone in insured losses over the same period, and uninsured losses are estimated to be even higher.
I think we're playing catch up in a way.
Experts say the growing reliance on crowdfunding shows gaps in how governments and individuals prepare for natural disasters.
What we need to know and understand is that our most vulnerable population are at highest risk of all these climate perils.
They told me basically when I phoned, they said there's no coverage, don't bother putting a claim in.
This school bus driver lives on a floodplain. She turned to crowdfunding after her Alberta home was flooded.
Your home is your safe place. And when something like this happens, it does really shake you to the core.
But she didn't get close to the goal of $25,000, and nearly a year later is still trying to repair her home.
As the frequency and cost of climate-related disasters increase across Canada, the federal government says it's examining how it distributes disaster relief money to provinces. Ben Shingler, CBC News, Montreal.
Speaking of insurance, the city of Regina and SGI are tired of people driving through one of its frequently flooded underpasses. They've partnered up to come with this $185,000 solution that is now live. When there is a high risk of flooding at the Albert Street underpass, a sensor will activate "Do Not Enter" signs. Traffic lights around the underpasses at the intersection with Saskatchewan Drive will also turn red. The city says this underpass has been flooding since at least 1912. A larger fix to the flooding underpass will have to wait another few years. The city plans to begin upgrades to Saskatchewan Drive in 2027. The new indoor seasonal outdoor market is officially open in Saskatoon's River Landing, except today it's closed on Mondays. It's called Gather Local Market, and it opened up on Saturday, patterned after the Forks in Winnipeg. That means local restaurants and artisan vendors and a central bar, liquor vendors and community events. The outdoor part of the market runs Thursday nights and Saturday mornings until September. It will also host food trucks and live music. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. People across the province gathered over the weekend to acknowledge the struggles of maternal mental health. Flora's Walk is already the biggest fundraiser of its kind in the country. It's dedicated to Flora Babakani, a new mother who died by suicide as a result of undiagnosed postpartum psychosis. The organizers of Flora's Walk want to make sure other women don't have the same sad outcome. This walk in Saskatoon's Diefenbaker Park is in its third year, while Regina hosted its first Flora's Walk. Parents say it's not only to raise awareness and money, but also to connect.
I began healing the most through connecting with other mothers struggling and having an amazing support system, and medication also was a big factor in my healing.
So a lot of mothers and partners that struggle with perinatal mental illness, unfortunately, they suffer in silence because of the stigma. So coming together to connect on this common illness that is so common in our community just creates so much connection, and there's a lot of power and healing that can happen when we gather together.
The parents we spoke to all talked about the importance of community and connection, and that's the idea behind a new perinatal wellness center opening this summer in the Queen City called I Love You More. We got an early look at the space and learned more about the inspiration.
I know Renee would be really happy and proud that this is what was happening. So if this center can save one person from ending their life, it's successful. Renee Ferguson died by suicide October 1st, 2023. She was a client of ours at Prairie Heart Counseling, and it was absolutely devastating. The family has given me permission to share. Like, she was actively coming to counseling and she was actively seeking medical support with her postpartum depression and anxiety. It rocked everybody's world. It broke everybody's heart, because I really don't think that any of us thought that it was that bad. And that's the thing with mental health. You don't know.
We knew she was struggling. I don't think any of us saw this end coming. And I love you more is just one of her statements that she always would say as well. If I said I love you, and she'd always say I love you more.
And so the meaning behind the center name is, no matter what's going on in your world, you're loved beyond measure. You're loved above your intrusive thoughts. I love you more than all of those things. I love you more than the darkness. I love you more than the pain.
I read a quote that parents of an angel, their job is to keep their child's memory alive. And this will really go a long ways to help keep her memory alive.
We've been thinking about it since it happened, how we can honor her, how we can fix the gaps. What are the gaps? You know, what was missed? 1 in 5 moms have postpartum depression or anxiety, and 1 in 10 dads. For moms, typically looks like really worrying, kind of micromanaging a little bit of like, no, you need to wash the bottle this particular way. You need to use this specific blanket. Very kind of particular in some things. A lot of worrying, a lot of self-doubt, intrusive thoughts. You know, you're not a good mom. You can't do this. You're not brave. You're not strong. So it's really battling that internal demon, that voice telling you that you are nothing, you are worth nothing. And so a lot of that was what she was struggling with. And you would never know it. Like, she would walk out of here and have the biggest, brightest smile.
Just because somebody's smiling doesn't mean that everything is okay. And when they say they're fine, they're not necessarily fine.
We're talking about right now having drop-in in the mornings from 9:30 to 12:30. We would probably have some Prairie Heart Counseling staff over there, maybe some volunteers. But one of the programs that I really am looking forward to is Mama Needs Coffee, which is at 7:30 till 9:30, because I had a baby that was up at 5:30. Our address books change when we have babies. So let's have a space where moms and other life phases similar to you are there, so you can build those lifelong friendships.
Heartening to see that there's so many people that realize that more work needs to be done and are willing to step up and do it.
If you or anyone you know is in crisis, help is available. To speak to someone, you can dial 988 through talk or text. That line is active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
A live look at downtown Regina right now, where it is, in fact, still raining, but 11 degrees. Riley Laychuk's here with a look at your forecast.
Well, yes, Sam, we're talking about wet weather once again as we head into the next couple of days or so, but we do turn the page by the time we reach midweek. So we have a rainfall warning in place for the southwestern corner of Saskatchewan, sort of west of Assiniboia into the border with Alberta. Maple Creek included in that as well. Could see up to 75 millimeters of rain in this blue shaded area here. Outside of that, up to 50 millimeters for places like Assiniboia and even as far north as Kindersley as we get into the day on Tuesday. So looking at satellite and radar, we have seen some heavier pockets of rain moving through southern and central parts of the province throughout the afternoon. Starting to pick up a bit as we get into this southwestern corner here. This is all part of a larger system that will generally bring us some showers as we get through the next couple of days across southern and even central parts of the province before we return to a much sunnier and a much more seasonal and in some cases above seasonal temperature-wise for this time of the year. So timing this out as we get through the next couple of days, we start tomorrow morning mainly cloudy with some showers starting to roll into the Regina and the Assiniboia area. And that continues to work its way to the west as we get through the morning tomorrow. For southern and southeastern sections, we're looking at on and off showers, so not a steady rain per se, but we are looking at some showers continuing as we get through the later part of Wednesday or Tuesday, clearing out by the time we reach Wednesday. You can see starting at 6 o'clock in the morning here with a sunny sky to start for south and central sections, maybe some cloud cover through the north by the time we hit the later afternoon into the day on Wednesday. So in terms of accumulations, yes, about 10 to 15 millimeters or so. I'm calling it 10 to 20 for this southern and southeastern section of the province, but boy, oh boy, look at some of these numbers here in terms of our forecast as we get through into southwestern Saskatchewan by the afternoon Wednesday, almost 60 millimeters of rain in Maple Creek. And yes, this is a good thing because this is the part of the province where we have seen some very dry conditions and some drought conditions even. But the thing we will have to watch out for as we get through Tuesday, definitely going to be the winds. We're looking at winds out of the east, 40 gusting 60 to start the day tomorrow. Some stronger gusts back to the west by the time we reach the afternoon. We are looking at winds backing off a bit, but still staying fairly gusty, really southern and central province wide as we get through the later afternoon Tuesday. Look at where we got today, 20 in Hudson Bay, generally at or below normal for this time of the year. 14s for both Regina and Saskatoon, and we are looking at a warm-up as we get to midweek, clearing through Wednesday back into the 20s for Thursday and Friday, and even 23 degrees on the way for Saturday for Regina. For Saskatoon, Sam, much the same. We're looking at 5 to 10 millimeters of rain tomorrow and quickly jumping back to above seasonal conditions, Sam. So if you like the sun and the heat, that's coming later on in the week.
Manitoba's Court of Appeal has dismissed Peter Nygaard's extradition appeal. Today's decision comes more than a year after Nygaard's lawyer argued the case in court. Nygaard is facing extradition to the United States and sex trafficking charges in the Southern District of New York. That would happen after his Canadian trials are completed. Nygaard's awaiting sentencing after a conviction last November on 4 counts of sexual assault, dating between the late 1980s and 2005 in Toronto. He faces similar charges in Montreal and Manitoba. Donald Trump has been warned he risks jail time if he violates a gag order again at his hush money trial in New York. The order bars the former U.S. president from speaking publicly about the jury, prosecutors, and witnesses. After the ruling, jurors heard from a former Trump Organization finance officer about businesses and banking dealings that could bolster the prosecution's case. Sally Patterson has the latest.
Speaking to reporters after court wrapped up for the day, Donald Trump didn't hold back. He called the so-called hush money trial election interference, a political witch hunt, and a disgrace, phrases we've heard time and time again from the former president. He also slammed comments by the prosecution that they would need roughly 2 more weeks from Tuesday to make their case. We're now in the 4th week of the trial, and Trump says it's a ploy to try and keep him off the campaign trail. He's running for office again and is unhappy about being inside court 4 days a week rather than out campaigning. Earlier on Monday, Trump was also scolded by Judge Juan Merchan for violating a court gag order. It's the 10th time he's been found in contempt in the trial so far, this time for comments about the jury. He claimed it was picked so fast and is made up of 95% Democrats. The order prohibits Trump from discussing the jury or witnesses in order to influence their decisions or testimony. Now, 2 witnesses gave their testimony on Monday. Former Trump Organization controller Jeffrey McConney and employee of the organization Deborah Tarasoff. They painted a picture for the jury about how the Trump Organization made payments, which are at the very heart of this case. Trump is accused of falsely filing payments made to his former lawyer Michael Cohen as legal expenses, which the prosecution claims was illegal. The money was to allegedly reimburse Cohen for $130,000 he paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about an affair she said she had with Trump, who denies that they had a relationship. Sally Patterson for CBC News, New York.
Well, here's a look at your provincial forecast for Tuesday. South and central looking at wet conditions throughout the day tomorrow. Most of that rain centered into the southwestern corner. Kindersley, Maple Creek both getting to 11 tomorrow afternoon. Forecast at 16 for Yorkton and Saskatoon as well, with some on and off showers as we get through the day. So we'll start with some showers in Regina tomorrow. Northeast winds 40 to 60, 10 degrees first thing in the morning. By the time we reach a later afternoon at about 11. But those strong gusty winds out of the east and northeast sticking around as we get through the day. We'll see some of that wind through the Saskatoon region as well. Not as strong and not as rainy tomorrow, starting the day also at 10 degrees tomorrow. And by the time we get to the later afternoon, Sam, at 14 degrees and sunnier conditions coming later in the week.
Thanks, Riley. And before we leave you tonight, tomorrow, a battle between 2 Saskatchewan hockey powerhouses. The Moose Jaw Warriors will face off against the Saskatoon Blades in Game 7 of the WHL Eastern Conference Final. And as Dane Patterson reports, guessing the victor is as certain as a coin flip.
Comes out of the left corner, throws it towards the net, they score! Get it up the near right wing, Sidoroff in the slot, shot, scores! In the middle he had Semenuk, it comes to Sherman, scores!
A goal for a goal.
Take away the inside, right, scores!
A game for a game. There are a few series as tight as this one, with 5 of the 6 games in this series so far being decided in overtime. But one club will end ahead tomorrow night.
They've held their own, but, you know, Moose Jaw's pretty fast, too. So they're both pretty equal as far as I'm concerned. It all depends on the goaltending.
And we hope they can go all the way. We know they can, so as long as they play the full 60 minutes, they're going to have no problem.
Seats are going quick. This morning, a day and a half ahead of puck drop, more than half the seats in Saskatoon SaskTel Centre had been spoken for. Fans want to know which Saskatchewan team will play in the WHL Championship. The Warriors haven't been there since 2006. The last Blades appearance was 30 years ago. But those statistics mean nothing tomorrow night for the Blades.
You can't focus on anything other than your shift. That's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that's in the now. All that stuff you're talking about is history or far in the future. Like all that stuff, it's not right now.
Chips around
the Saskatchewan battle for the Eastern Conference Championship will begin tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Saskatoon's SaskTel Centre. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to our website, our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.